For the record, who is Michael Sussmann?
Well, Michael Sussmann is a lawyer who is currently involved in a trial by the Durham Special Counsel team.
His law firm, Perkins Coie, was counsel to Secretary Hillary Clinton's campaign, right?
Senator, I'm mindful, as I think you would expect me to be, that the case is currently in the middle of trial, and well, we have agents, and I have assigned agents to work on the Durham team. I want to be really, really careful about not getting into a discussion about a case that's currently in front of a very independent and strong-willed federal judge and a jury right now. So,
well, Mr. Sussmann was counsel to Secretary Clinton's campaign, and we also know that he was the source of the information provided to the FBI that the Trump campaign had a back-channel communication to Russia, which we now know isn't true. Is it true that Michael Sussmann, a partner at Perkins Coie, counsel to the Hillary Clinton campaign, and the source of this information about the allegations regarding the Trump campaign, is it true that he had a badge that gave, an FBI headquarters badge that gave him special privileges in entering the FBI building?
well, Senator, what I would say to you is much in keeping with the gracious comments you made at the beginning about my commitment to trying to make sure I do this job the right way. That includes making sure that with a case that is currently in the middle of trial and an investigation being run by Mr. Durham that we are actively helping him with. I don't think I can really get into a discussion of those topics at the moment.
When the FBI opened a file to investigate Mr. Sussmann's allegations, is it true that the FBI concealed Mr. Sussmann's identity?
Again, I completely understand your interest in the question, and I respect it, and I just hope you will respect the fact that because I've got agents working with Mr. Durham on the case and they're in the middle of trial right now, I just don't think I can get into a discussion of that here.
When the FBI opened its file to investigate the allegations that Mr. Sussmann, on behalf of the Clinton campaign, made, now known to be untrue, about these back-channel communications between the Trump campaign and Russia. When the FBI opened the file, is it true that the file said the source of this information was not Mr. Sussmann, but the Department of Justice?
Again, the same response. These are the very kinds of questions that are being litigated in front of the jury and Judge Cooper right now.
Senator Kennedy, I would just urge you to follow a separate line of questioning. As Director Wray has said, he's not going to answer questions relative to this case that's being litigated.
I appreciate that, Madam Chair, and you know how much I respect you. I want my time back, by the way.
You can have those 3 seconds that I
took.
No,
you talked for about 10 seconds.
I'm happy to give you those 10 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate your help with my questions, but I can handle it myself. Chris, at some point you're going to have to address this, and I understand you don't want to address it in the middle of a prosecution, but there are millions of Americans that look at this and think, I'm not saying they're correct, that the FBI has become a political organization. And at some point, you're going to have to address that. The institution is just too important. And some of my colleagues may not want to talk about this, but we're going to have to talk about it at some point.
Well, So first off, I totally appreciate your concern about our institution, and I will tell you that what I can speak to now is that I have implemented all sorts of reforms that I've spoken about quite publicly, over 40-plus corrective measures that deal with a lot of the same issues that are at the heart of the underlying investigation. I completely turned over the entire leadership team in the FBI. We've taken disciplinary action where we could, but we've also been in close cooperation and coordination with Mr. Durham, who is the special counsel, and I think that's the best thing I can do to help address the concerns you're talking about. As to the FBI's reputation, I will tell you, having been to all 56 of our field offices, now almost all of them twice, having been to New Orleans just earlier this month and Baton Rouge just shortly before that, what I find in talking to Americans out in the field, law enforcement partners, business leaders, community leaders, victims, prosecutors, families, is a widespread, even resounding appreciation and respect for the men and women of the FBI. And you will be, I hope, relieved to know that in Louisiana, over the last 3 years, last two and a half years, the number of people in Louisiana applying to be special agents of the FBI has doubled what it was in the first few years when I took over. And so I think that speaks very well of the good citizens of Louisiana and their appreciation and view of the FBI's credibility.
And I thank you for coming, Chris, and I thank you for all the work you've done. But I'm going to stand by my comments. I think at the right time you're going to have to address this and assure the American people that,
Senator Hagerty,
that the rot is gone. Thank you. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Thank you, Chairwoman Shaheen.